Howdy folks, welcome to this week's Ag Report. This week we're going to talk about honey in Ellis County in honey. Ellis County is rich in honey history. We have got several companies here that have been here for a long time. Burleson Honey has been here for 118 years. The Stroop Bee Company has been here for over 80 years. Brady Bee Company has been here for about 45 years or so. Long history of honey, locally raised honey here in Ellis County. So we're going to talk today with Leland David Calvert III. He is the Ellis County Vice President, and like his namesake says, he has some history here in agriculture. His family does in Ellis County. So Lee, thank you for taking time out with us and bringing some of your bees with us. And tell us about bee production, honey here in Ellis County.
Well, like you said, it's got a long history here. Ellis County is a great place to raise some honeybees. It is tough though, like you said, with the agriculture around here, and I have had to alter some of my practices in order to sustain my bees and still also take care of any pests that we have on the farm as far as in our crops. And sometimes it's a little challenging. It's a little extra work. It's getting up a little extra early in the morning to cover up some hives, or to it also can be a little more expensive at times, using a different class of chemical that will not harm birds and stuff like that. So
the myth of being able to produce honey and farm at the same time adjoining, like we're here in this field and we have your hives right over here, and 100 yards away we've got crop production. It can be done. You just need to be educated about what you're using and put some effort into that then.
That's right. And if you don't happen to be the producer and beekeeper, and yet you want to keep bees near where a producer is, a good relationship with that producer will go a long way. Knowing what they're going to do and when they're going to do it, just have some communication. That communication's key to keeping your bees alive, and everybody's happy. Everybody's able to do what they need to do and still sustain what you're trying to do.
That's right. Communication in everything, you know. I believe that's right. Heads off so much trouble.
Yes, it does.
Well, tell us about your honey and what kind of products you have and things like that. Okay. Where can they get that?
Well, you can go see us at the farmers market in Waxahachie every Saturday, 8 to 1, and I'll have my locally produced honey here. All the honey comes from either here or my other location where I have bees 2 different places, or it will come from removals that I've done where I have rescued bees out of a structure.
Okay.
We came out to this old house today. You see this old house over here beside us where this thing was chock full of honeybees, which is why I put some of my hives out here, because obviously the bees chose this location.
They like it.
They know better than I would know. So I had to get some hives out of this house, and so I've got these bees started on this yard. And anytime I take bees out, I'll try to salvage the honey as much as possible. You have to be careful, such as insulation becomes a problem when you're taking them out of a structure. So you have to cut around all that. But I try to salvage as much as I can when I do a bee removal.
So tell us about taking care of bees through the wintertime. Cattle, you've got to feed hay and things like that, horses, animals. What about bees?
Well, they make their own food. So part of that honey is you don't want to rob it all from them.
Okay.
You don't want to get greedy when you're harvesting your honey. You only want to take I take about a 50%. They say you can take 60 to 75. I usually like that 50% mark, because you don't ever know how bad your winter is going to be.
Okay.
And those bees they'll store that honey is their food storage that gets them through the winter. Other than that, here we don't get really cold enough like they do up north to have to insulate a beehive or anything like that. If it got super cold, like in the teens for several days, you might think about doing something like that.
Okay.
That doesn't happen here very often.
Right.
So
your harvest time, you're just now getting into your harvest time?
We're coming up on harvest right now. Okay. So all these hives out here have the second box added to the top, which will fill up with honey, and they will produce honey in that lower box as well, and we'll spin out that honey, and I'll bring them those frames back to clean up when I'm done.
Okay.
And then once they clean them those frames for about 2 days, I'll wrap those boxes up so that we don't get other pest pressures in those boxes like moths and things like that.
Okay.
Now another option is too, if you don't if I didn't want to harvest from that hive, I could split that hive. In other words, that'd be the same thing as having your cow have a calf. You know, that's how we reproduce. So we will split those hives up and have 2 hives for one, and then won't take any honey from them to let them sustain themselves through the winter.
So bees are just like any other crop, animal, livestock in agriculture. Gotta do your homework, kind of watch over them, take care of them, just like anything. It's not a plant and forget or turn that animal out. You know, maintain them. They'll kind of give you indications of what they're needing, watch the weather, that kind of stuff. That's
correct. They have to be managed like anything else. And in fact, I learned something the other day that beekeeper in many languages translates to the same word as shepherd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you think about it like that, from as being a shepherd of the bees.
Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you taking time to talk with us today. Go and see his page. He is the Bee Ninja on Facebook. If you have some questions or want to reach out, or maybe you have some bees that have moved in on you and you kind of want to get them evicted, call Lee here, see if he can help you out.
I brought some to visit John Paul.
Yeah, as long as they stay right over there, we'll be just fine. Folks, we hope you've enjoyed this report on honey production in Ellis County. We've just touched the tip of the iceberg, you know, of the history on there, but we hope you've enjoyed it. Y'all take care now.